It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for February 2025. So on February 18th, we are going to be diving into the depths of our emotions, the depths of our intuition, the depths of our soul and our spirit, even those darkest parts. Because the sun is moving into Pisces energy, the very last sign of the zodiac, that is just as much about endings and closures as it is setting the scene for beginnings, for initiation. So, of course, we've been in Aquarius energy. We had the last month of very powerful revelations, very powerful aha moments in order to push us into a new level of awareness, a new level of consciousness, in order for us to see outside of the box, if you will, what we could adjust, what we could improve upon in order to align with a new vision, a new goal, a new dream. That Aquarius energy being a fixed sign, we were definitely trying to stabilize, integrate, if you will, information, wisdom, and knowledge. There was a lot of pressure on the headspace. And the Aquarius season does kind of act as an emotional disconnect, if you will, so that we can kind of float off into space, observe ourselves from a different perspective, from a different lens, in order for us to, again, see the inner workings and the outer workings of the greater, grander plan that, of course, we are a part of, and that we are creating in our own individual world. And of course, now that the sun is shifting into Pisces energy, a mutable water sign, there's going to be a lot of shifting, a lot of changing. That's what mutability is, being flexible enough to be presented with information, with details, with perspectives that now kind of challenge the status quo, and therefore a change, an improvement, a new transformation is absolutely necessary. The water energy, of course, is throwing us into the depths of our emotions, the depths of our spirituality, the depths of our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, because that is the shadow part of the ego programming that, of course, keeps us alive and well, keeps us stuck in certain patterns and behaviors that now we are going to bring from the unconscious part of self, because that's what Pisces represents, is the collective unconscious. We're bringing it from the unconscious part of self into our awareness so that we can heal it. Pisces energy is the healing energy on our emotion and spiritual realm. So again, when we dive into Pisces season, typically speaking, we get thrown into the depths of the darkness first. We have to unearth a couple of things. We take on a more kind of depressive tone, if you will, because we're recognizing the endings, the death, the closure that is needed, especially to help free us from the old version of self, that old realm, that old reality, those old structures, those old foundations, and prepare us for this resurrection, for this rebirth that, of course, takes place when the sun shifts into Aries energy. We have that spring equinox. We jump into a new astrological calendar, and we start through the zodiac cycle again. So Pisces energy is really the transition from the old into the new, but we're stuck in this void, and that's exactly what Pisces energy is meant to do, is to highlight this void so that, again, we can do the work to purge, to release, in order for us to, again, clear the space, clean the slate for these major downloads coming in when the sun gets reborn, resurrected in that Aries energy, and a new spark, fire, and flame takes over our soul and spirit, puts us on a new path, puts us in a new pursuit of a passion, of a purpose, of a mission. And so the Pisces energy, this is why we have to kind of go with the flow. This is why we have to learn to surrender, because a lot of the things that are going to come up for us in our inner realm, we don't have control over. We can only control how we're going to react or respond to it, and therefore restructure it in our favor. So, of course, we're not really in a situation of doing. We're in a situation of feeling, of processing, of imagining, of dreaming, of purging, of releasing, and again, clearing the space and cleaning the slate for the eventual downloads of new goals, visions, and dreams, new missions, new purpose that, of course, we're going to receive from our higher self when we create the space to actually receive it. And so it's a very mystical time. It's a very wish-washy time. Again, Pisces energy, we don't have boundaries, so we're kind of free floating there. And if you're not careful, you can find yourself in a little bit of a state of psychosis or dissociation or delusion, because as positive as this Pisces energy can be, it is also ruled over by confusion, delusion, and destruction. So we have to find that balance, and we will likely, again, think of it as the ocean, ride those high waves and then come crashing down into those very deep valleys that, of course, have to be created in order to keep the choppiness of our inner realm very much alive and well. And so we can go to the shadow side of victimhood mentality, of depression, of self-pity, of just, living in this dissociative state, or we could be tapping in and manifesting the highest form of love, the highest form of wisdom, the highest form of empathy and compassion. And therefore, when we kind of have the option and opportunity to sit in those higher vibrations, we bring new, let's call them gifts and abilities online. Why? Because we're opening our chakra system up. We're opening up our meridians. We are clearing out the junk and the gunk. Therefore, more electrical pulses can kind of take place in our brain and through our physical body, bringing in new information, new insights, and therefore new sensitivities, new abilities. There's definitely a lot going on. Now, Pisces season, we are kind of pushed into the void where, again, there are new inspirations, new downloads of creativity that we will be receiving. We're not going to be able to understand it at first. We're not going to be able to even verbalize it, communicate it out into the world. However, Pisces season is a beautiful time for writers, for artists, for musicians, because we're channeling from the higher realms of intelligence, mostly through our experience, plucking the wisdom out of the pain cycle, the trauma cycle that, of course, fuels humanity's evolution. We're able to use other mediums because, of course, words probably aren't our forte in normal communication styles. And so there are going to be some high highs, there are going to be some low lows, but the major takeaway here is that we have to learn to trust. We have to learn to trust ourselves. We have to learn to trust the universe, the greater, grander plan. We have to, really kind of renew in our hopes, our wishes, our dreams, in our belief system as well. And so there is a particular energy where we're more apt to give people the benefit of the doubt until they screw us over and prove us wrong, and in which that case we are literally either going to drown ourselves in those particular sadness bubbles, or we're typically speaking going to have to restrain ourselves from drowning those that hurt us. Either way, this is about striking a calm balance. We initially take the motion of the ocean being very choppy, and by the end of Pisces energy, that ocean's going to be very calm, very reflective, so that not only can we see ourselves in the emotional depths in which we just kind of, survived, but we can use this reflective state to understand where it is now that we need to go from here. And of course, the initiation energy, the beginning energy, that jump jolt energy will be taking place when we start this cycle over again and move into that Aries energy. So there's a lot of sensitivities. We're all hypersensitive, so we have to be very aware of, ourselves, but also how we are kind of projecting ourselves out into the world, because everyone else is super hypersensitive as well. We want to connect with our heart space, but typically speaking, there's a guard up, a wall up, a bunch of junk and gunk that's preventing us from being our real, true, authentic vibration and frequency. And so this is part and parcel of the work that needs to be done when we initially jump into Pisces season, is to unpack that emotional baggage, clear that space up so that, again, our heart can be receiving the downloads, the callings, if you will, on where it is that we need to go from here. We also, again, need to remind ourselves that because this is an altered state of consciousness, anything that you are tapping into, such as drugs, alcohol, prescription drugs even, are going to have more of an impact on you than any time else. And because this is a very sensitive time where we can lose ourselves, not only to an altered state of consciousness, but in dreamland as well, because that's all dreams are, is an altered state of consciousness, we have to be very aware of the message, the crypticness of not only the things that are happening day to day, not only the downloads that we're receiving, not only the thoughts that are kind of moving through our head at a very weird pace, but at some of the dreamscaping aspects, because we are definitely receiving a lot of insight throughout Pisces season as well. Because it is a water energy, we have to kind of keep our eyes on the water, so to speak. There's usually a lot of water related, let's call them tragedies, crises. Really, a lot of water is going to be damaging, destroying, if you will, certain areas of the world, Earth, planet, world, and energetically speaking as well. A lot of the emotion, a lot of the intuition that the collective is tapping into has the ability to destroy a lot of the energetic matrices, a lot of the energetic confines, if you will, that we as a consciousness has been trapped in as well. So there's a multitude of layers of where we can access this empowerment throughout Pisces season. And depending on your healing journey, you're going to find out, likely the hard way, where it is that you're at and what it is that you have to work through and how it is that you can strengthen yourselves through these particular trials and tribulations. However, because we are at an ending and a closure of a cycle, and specifically speaking, I want to highlight to Neptune, who is going to be in his rulership over this Pisces season. Neptune will be leaving this Pisces energy, his rulership that he's been sitting in since 2011, at the end of March. And so this is going to be a very different Pisces season. We have Saturn in Pisces already. We have Mercury in Pisces already. Venus has already transited through this Pisces energy, and both Venus and Mercury will be backtracking into this Pisces energy in a couple of months when they are both going through their retrogrades. So this Pisces season is going to be very different than the Pisces seasons that, of course, have come before, because we have a lot more intensities, trying to wrap cycles up, trying to put karma behind us, trying to really dissolve and deconstruct that old world, those old false belief systems, in order for us to, again, have the ability to start fresh, start clean when we move into that Aries season. And of course, if you haven't listened to the 2025 year ahead reading, you wouldn't know that we're going to have a pretty messed up start to this particular astrological calendar, because of course we're being flung into not only some serious retrogrades, but into eclipse season as we bridge the gap from the old calendar, Pisces season, to the new calendar, Aries season. So this is going to be a very different season for all of us. And I would say, if you are on this healing journey and you are looking to kind of navigate this particular season without kind of being drugged to the bottom of the ocean, to the depths of your darkness, you're going to want to be doing the work. So again, there are resources out there for you to make sure that you're staying ahead of the game, that you are in alignment with the energies, that you're tapping into the empowerment part of these particular seasons. Get your February energy guide in front of you. This is going to be a time to make some very profound notes on what's going on for you at this particular juncture, because we're going to be revisiting a lot of these topics and themes later this year, when of course Saturn and Neptune are going to come back to this Pisces energy, and a lot of things that are currently going on as we come into Pisces season will need to be restructured, revisited, and revised later in the year. So to kind of wrap it up, Pisces season is both the best and the worst of our existing experiences through this particular astrological calendar. It condenses the worst part into a chapter. It condenses the best part of this last year into a chapter, and we are going to see those two little fishes chase each other around, one building something new, the other one unpacking the old. So you're going to want to make sure where this Pisces energy is ruling over your own individual birth chart in order to figure out how to make this energy work for you instead of against you.